Live from Florida Auto Exchange Stadium in beautiful Dunedin, Florida, it's time for Blue Jays Spring Training Baseball on Sportsnet. Hi everyone, I'm Barry Davis, and today the 3-2 Blue Jays take on the Pittsburgh Pirates for the third time this spring. It is an absolutely perfect day for baseball. Fans are packed in here at the stadium, young and old, and kids, this is a great opportunity for them to get up close and personal with the Blue Jays. If you're into autographs, this is the time to get them. The Blue Jays battled a little bit of bad weather last week, some rain, some unseasonably cold temperatures, but today we have an absolutely perfect day for baseball. Now let's send it upstairs to the two guys calling today's events. Here's Buck Martinez and Joe Siddall.
Barry, all spring long, the talk has been about a lot of the newcomers, especially Josh Donaldson and Russell Martin. But the Blue Jays are fortunate, and you can't overlook their stars. Two of the best in baseball in Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion.
Well, these have been two of the premier sluggers in all of Major League Baseball, and they've anchored the offensive production of this club. These are elite players because they do it when it matters most. These guys, when they produce, they're helping their team win ball games. They do the damage, and it matters. Both different leaders. Edwin quiet, he'll lead by example. Jose a little bit more vocal, but both of these players are collectively welcoming their new teammates, and they want to do one thing, and that's win and get this team to the playoffs.
Jose Bautista and Encarnacion both among the premier offensive players in all of baseball. They combined to hit over 37% of the Blue Jay home runs in wins last year. You leaned heavily on these two big bats. Today we're going to see Aaron Sanchez for a second time. What do you expect from Aaron?
Well, I expect to see all three pitches, fastball, curveball, changeup. He was a fastball pitcher in the big leagues last year in Toronto because that's all he needed. He's got to utilize all three pitches if he's going to be a starter.
You're going to see Todd Redmond and Chad Jenkins as well. Should be a good day down here in Florida. Let's check back in with Barry Davis.
Thanks a lot, Buck. A perfect day for baseball, not a cloud in the sky. It's the Blue Jays and the Pirates coming up next.
Welcome back to Florida. It is a spectacular day here in Dunedin, Florida. Blue Jays and Pirates are ready to hook up for the third time already this spring. They've split the first two there. Clint Hurdle is the manager of the Pirates. He's in his fifth season in Pittsburgh. And a disappointing end to their season as they lost the National League wildcard game 8-0 to the San Francisco Giants at the hands of Madison Bumgarner, who had a great postseason run. Now let's take a look at the lineup for Clint Hurdle's Pirates. Steve Lombardozzi, top of the order. Francisco Cervelli, he's going to take over for Russell Martin, who's here with the Blue Jays. Cervelli spent most of his career, all of his career in the big leagues with the New York Yankees. Polanco, Lambeau, Rodriguez, middle of the order. Jeff Decker is in the center. Jose Tabata is in left field. Brent Morrell and Gift Ngope. He is from South Africa. We'll talk more about Ngope when we get into this ball game. But now it's time to take a look at the starting pitchers. And the starting pitchers are brought to you by Scott's Weed Be Gone this spring. Knock out weeds out of your park with Weed Be Gone. Kills weeds, not lawns.
22-year-old Aaron Sanchez is making his second start of the spring. He started Tuesday right here in Dunedin against these Pirates. Gave up a couple of earned runs, most notably that 3-run homer opposite field to Pedro Alvarez.
Well, Sanchez is set. This is his second start of the spring. Last time he pitched against this same ball club. On board, Dozie is ready. Here's the first pitch of the game. It is in there for a strike, and we are underway. Sanchez quickly ahead 0-2. He had a quick start to his game last time out, and then gave up a bloop single with 2 outs to Gregory Polanco, an error by the third baseman Donaldson, and then a 3-run home run in the first inning off the bat of Pedro Alvarez. There's that good curveball, bounced to first. Smoke takes the fair ball. 1 down. Let's take a look at the defense for the Blue Jays. In the outfield, it's Pompey, Pilar, and Jose Bautista. Bautista's been out a couple of days with a hamstring problem, just tightness. Donaldson, Reyes, Historis, and Smoke. This very well could be the opening day infield for the Blue Jays. Deanna Navarro, coming off a great season a year ago, is behind the plate for Aaron Sanchez.
At shortstop, Jose Reyes. He is a staple in this Blue Jays lineup. He feels strong again, getting his legs underneath him. He has got to play better defense this season for the Blue Jays.
Francisco Cervelli, the catcher, who will take over for the departed Russell Martin. Cervelli spent part of 7 seasons with the Yankees. Last year, he hit .301. Gets his first opportunity to be an everyday player. And he is going to get the first shot behind the plate.
Well, it's difficult. He started 80 games for the Yankees back in 2010. That's the most he's ever started. They are asking him to replace Russell Martin now and be the everyday catcher.
2-0. Cut on and foul back. They have Chris Stewart, a very capable backup player. And they also have youngster Tony Sanchez, who we saw here last time the Pirates were here. But Cervelli, anxious for this opportunity. He's 29 years old, comes out of Venezuela. And he knows this is his best opportunity to play on an everyday basis. Fly ball deep to right. Bautista on the run. That's going to slice into foul territory, out of play.
I talked to Deanna Navarro today about calling this game. Aaron Sanchez in his second start. We talked about it in the open. Sanchez predominantly threw fastballs last year in the big leagues and had great success, but if he is going to vie for this 5th starter spot in the rotation, he has got to use all 3 pitches. Navarro said he's going to be aggressive with the fastball today, but being mindful that he has to utilize all 3.
Simply because he pitched out of the bullpen, Aaron didn't have to rely on all 3 pitches that often. Back into the count. It's a 2-2 count to Francisco Cervelli. There's that breaking ball and a good one. First strikeout of the afternoon for Sanchez.
It's a power curveball. I spoke with Russell Martin after his last start, and he said he gets such good spin on it. And you know he's got the velocity with the fastball, but look at that sharp, hard downward rotation on that curveball. Nice job by Deanna Navarro, but Aaron Sanchez gets on top of that baseball to really impart that spin, and it's all about getting to that release point on time, and it's a little more difficult when you don't have time to practice those pitches, pitching out of the bullpen like you did last year. When you're a starter, you've got time between starts to work on all 3.
So with 2 outs and nobody on, Gregory Polanco, the young right fielder, will step in. There's a good fastball to get in. Polanco a year ago hit .235 for the Pirates. He had 7 home runs and drove in 33. Wasn't promoted till mid-season. So he played in just 89 games. But boy, are they high on Polanco. He's just 23 years old. Ball on the strike. Changeup missed downstairs.
And there's that 3rd pitch that he has to use. It's a good call right there by Navarro. If anything, Aaron has to use all the pitches today, and that would be mission accomplished. Of course, he wants to get good results too, but he's got to get back into that routine of throwing all 3.
Nice play by Justin Smoke hit first to end the inning. 3 up, 3 down for Sanchez. Good start to his afternoon. Good defense at first. This spring, and John's been very pleased with the way camp has gone early on. Now let's take a look at the lineup for the Blue Jays. Jose Reyes, top of the order. Number 2 spot in the order is going to be an experiment for John, given Josh Donaldson is there this afternoon. Then the big bats, Bautista, Encarnacion, middle of the order, followed by the switch-hitting catcher Navarro. Justin Smokey, too's a switch hitter, as is Dalton Pompey, Kevin Pillar, and how about 4 switch hitters in the lineup? Mysore Stouris at second.
And on the mound, 24-year-old right-hander Casey Sadler. He's making the second start of the spring. He was the starter here on Tuesday against the Blue Jays in Dunedin. He spun a couple of scoreless innings, 11-4 with a 3.03 ERA in 21 starts last season at AAA Indianapolis, and made 6 appearances in the big leagues with the Pirates.
Behind Sadler for the Pirates, it's Tabata, Jeff Decker, and Gregory Polanco from left to right in the outfield. Former Ray Sean Rodriguez is at third base. Gift Ngope is the shortstop. Steve Lombardozzi up the middle. Brent Morrill spent a little time with the Blue Jays, albeit in the off-season, and Francisco Cervelli behind the plate for the pitcher.
Well, Cervelli will bring a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the ballpark every day. He's going a lot of big shoes to fill with Russell Martin, and he is going to handle a very tough, good pitching staff here in Pittsburgh.
Sadler pitched 2 good innings against the Jays in his first outing. He walked just 1 batter, faced the minimum through 2 innings, just 6 up, 6 down. 5 of the 6 outs were on the ground. There's a strike. Ray is coming off another fine offensive season. He was healthy, hit .287 for the year. 9 homers, and he drove in 51, and he had 30 steals, caught twice. Off-speed pitch, another ground ball from Sadler. 1 down. So Josh Donaldson, one of the newcomers to the Blue Jays lineup, and he is a terrific player. Albeit he's only played 2 full seasons. And I think Donaldson himself is learning about himself. Last year put up big numbers, but he had kind of an offensive roller coaster season.
He did. Josh said back in the 2012 season he was up and down in the big leagues. He was really beginning to doubt himself and wonder what type of player he could be. Who would have thought 3 years later he's going to be a major league superstar?
Many people consider him among the MVP candidates each and every year.
Well, Josh told me too that he took it upon himself. You see the rankings throughout the league in the last few years. Top of the league, home runs, RBIs. He has just been one of the best. But he talked about using his own resources, taking it upon himself. He watched an awful lot of video of sluggers in the game, one of them being Jose Bautista. He tried to emulate them, got the leg kick going. He tried to do different things, and boy, has it paid off for Josh Donaldson.
Donaldson, one of those very aggressive fastball hitters, homered in yesterday's game against the Phillies. That misses down and away. Donaldson made his first All-Star team last year. He became just the 5th A's third baseman to start in an All-Star game. He had a terrific first half of the season. Waves at that breaking ball, and he strikes out. 2 quick outs for Casey Sadler.
Well, that's a nasty slider from Sadler. His fastball will average just over 92 miles per hour. He's got the slider and the changeup, and Donaldson got his best slider right here. Very difficult, too. Some of these veteran big league hitters, some of these younger pitchers, they don't see a whole lot. Sadler just up a bit last year with the Pirates, so these hitters have not seen him, but that was one of the better sliders right there.
Jose Bautista with nobody on. Bats with 2 outs. Bautista was scratched from a game on Thursday. It was raining heavily here. It eventually was about a 2-hour delay before they started, and he had a tight hamstring, so they didn't want to take any chances with him. Good cut, foul tip.
I asked Jose this morning, I said, how many at-bats typically do you feel that you need to get ready and be ready for the season? And he kind of chuckled. He says, about 20. No problem. But, you know, his big thing, what he talked about, is his eyes. It's trusting his eyes. It's when he tracks the pitch that's a strike that he knows it's a strike. If it's off the plate, that he knows it's a ball. That's when he knows he is where he wants to be.
Fouls it into the seats. Joe, you and I watch batting practice every day, and I tell you what, you talk about a professional major league approach in batting practice. Bautista has that.
Well, he sure is, and you watch these guys, you think they're just gifted athletes with tremendous abilities that they've been blessed with, but they work very hard at it, and those are some of the examples I just told you right there. Tracking pitches.
Upstairs, just misses. It's now 1-2 to Bautista. Jose is one of just 2 major league players over the last 4 seasons to connect for 25 or more home runs. He and Miguel Cabrera stand alone. And you have a tendency to overlook him because he's so consistent.
Well, he's so good. That's right. We saw it last year. And what really impressed me last year about Jose was when Edwin got hurt, he was not affected. He was not going to give in to the pitchers. He still took his walks. A lot of players in that situation would try to go that extra mile, try to do too much. And we know as hitters, you start trying to do too much, you're just going to come out of your swing and cause all kinds of problems. Very patient, disciplined hitter.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Fights it off. Inside fastball. Now, this is where the Blue Jays really have an advantage. When you look at home runs per season, the last 5 years, Bautista leads some pretty impressive sluggers.
And Edwin right down there as well, but you see Jose and Edwin in between, a couple of Cabrera and Pujols and Stanton. Those are some big names in that list, and these are 2 sluggers in the meat of this Blue Jays lineup.
Biggest in the game. Outside, what an at-bat for Bautista. And this is the aspect you were talking about. All he needs is a few extended bats like this where he can track the baseball.
And he trusts himself right now. When you see him taking that breaking ball we saw earlier in this count and then that pitch right there, he's believing in his eyes, and that's when he is feeling where he needs to be.
Spoils a pretty good pitch just off the outside edge.
Timing is so important in hitting. You have to be on time with your late kick, your trigger mechanism. All these things go into completing a good swing. But more important than anything, you've got to get a good pitch to hit, and having that knowledge of the strike zone. I think that's what a lot of the best hitters have, just tremendous vision.
Bautista called out. Tough pitch on the outside corner. He had a good look at it. Couple of strikeouts for Sadler in the first. Bautista has a long at bat, but gets called out on that fastball away.
training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Scott's Coated Grass Seed. This spring, build up your outfield, even if you miss a day of watering, with Scott's Coated Grass Seed.
Great day down here in Florida on the Gulf Coast. We are in Dunedin, Florida, where it's 22 degrees Celsius, -1 in Toronto. Come on down. Andrew Lambeau, the DH this afternoon, cuts on that sinking fastball and fouls it out of play. Lambeau, originally a fourth-round draft pick of the Dodgers back in 2007. He made it up to the big leagues last year with the Pirates. Cut on and missed. Sanchez confident. One thing I've noticed about many of these younger players, including Kevin Pillar, Aaron Sanchez, Marcus Stroman, there's a different comfort level with them this spring than we've seen in the past.
Well, it sure helps to get your feet wet at the major league level, and that's what those call-ups probably were most beneficial for to the Blue Jays.
Boy, there's a close pitch, and that kind of rattled Sanchez in his first start when he didn't get the call with 2 strikes and 2 outs in the first. We'll see how he adjusts after this call.
See Navarro setting up inside for that good fastball, that two-seam fastball coming back, just missing that inside corner.
Psychologically, a pitcher makes a good pitch. In his mind, it's strike 3. Then you have to regroup when you don't get the call. And after that call that went against him last time out, he gave up a 3-run home run.
That's right. That affected him. And that's where you like to see that veteran leadership. Russell Martin in town now, handling him. Diana Navarro behind the plate today. But that's what a veteran catcher can really help out the young pitcher.
Changeup, bouncing ball to third. Donaldson wide of third, makes a good throw. Another good stretch by Justin Smoak. Boy, you really overlook the impact of a good defensive first baseman, but there's another example. A less polished defensive player would come off the bag.
Good hands, big target over there, Justin Smoak, but it's the footwork that's very important. You have to identify this ball coming to first base, and a good first baseman has that footwork to slide over and really be able to extend himself as far as he could, and he needed that full range on that throw.
Donaldson committed 23 errors a year ago. Many of them were throwing errors.
Exactly, and that's why Smoak does a nice job. He's got a good glove, but it's more important when you have good feet around the bag to handle those throws. Gives a lot of room for error for those infielders.
Sean Rodriguez falls behind quickly, 0-2. Rodriguez came over to the Pirates in a trade, formerly of the Tampa Bay Rays. Blue Jays know all about Sean Rodriguez. Strike 3 call, 3-pitch strikeout for Aaron Sanchez. Second strikeout of the afternoon.
Well, we've seen the good fastball from Sanchez. We saw it all last season up in Toronto. This time Navarro setting up away, and it's a two-seam fastball. It's got that two-seam action. He actually wants to keep that down and more away. Got away with that pitch because it froze Rodriguez. Hitters will give up on that pitch. It looks like it's on the outer part of the plate or just off, so they give up, and it just comes back and catches that outside corner.
Center fielder Jeff Becker hit a line drive against Sanchez in his first at-bat. Sanchez gloved it right above his head, and then he hit it double off of Sanchez in his second at-bat. And that was the end of Aaron's outing last time out, so you can bet that he's a little more focused with 2 outs here, trying to retire Decker. Hard hit ball. Nice play by Astros. Couple of good defensive plays already in the ball game. You can't forget the value of the leather. Astros trying to make an impression here in spring training. Takes a hit away from Decker. Welcome back to Dunedin. We head to the bottom of the second inning on a spectacular afternoon. Aaron Sanchez, boy, he was good. 6 up, 6 down in his first 2 innings of work. That's probably going to be it. They say 2, maybe 3, but he hadn't thrown many pitches. He might go back out for a third.
He made 2 pretty quick innings right there. And again, it's nice to see him utilizing all 3 pitches. Nice job by Navarro, and he's executed that fastball a couple of times, trying to come inside, also backdooring those right-handed batters. If he can be pretty good with his location, that fastball 96, 97 miles per hour, we saw it all last season there, the second half of that 2-seam action. Just a very difficult pitch to handle.
Edwin Encarnacion waves at that first pitch. Edwin is the DH this afternoon, and of course there is the question of whether you use him as DH or first base. He has said he will do whatever the club thinks is best for the team. Another off-speed pitch, and Sadler is out in front. He struck out Donaldson and Bautista end of first. Encarnacion, 34 homers and 98 RBIs last year, and missed that 100 RBI plateau because of the injury he suffered out in Oakland in July.
If Edwin can stay healthy for all 162 games, there's no telling what kind of numbers that he can put up. Still pushing 100 ribbies even with that injury.
477 at bats. He was able to drive in 98. Another strikeout for Sadler. 1 out. Let's check in with Barry Davis.
Buck, some updates on the injuries with the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's first begin with Brett Cecil, who had a bit of tightness in the arm. It's not that bad. He went for an MRI. They determined it was just some inflammation. He's going to be shut down for the next few days. John Gibbons says he sees no reason why he will not be ready to go opening day. The big surprise has been the recovery of Michael Saunders. He said after the surgery he would have never believed that he'd be where he is right now. As of now, he is continuing to do some baseball work, throwing. Next up is getting into the cage, doing a little bit of running. And guys, he's still targeting a possible return for opening day, and wouldn't that be something?
That would be terrific news, Barry. That would be certainly welcomed by all the people involved with the Blue Jays. Deanna Navarro runs the center. Jeff Decker gets there, and Navarro is retired on 1 pitch. Saunders hit off a tee today, and now, because they removed his meniscus cartilage, there's nothing in that knee that needs to heal. It's just a matter of him getting his strength back and getting to a point where he can run again.
Well, there's great news. It was first anticipated with that injury to Saunders that he could be out till almost the All-Star break. So it was very good news when he came out of surgery to think that he might be back in April, and now they're even pushing, possibly shooting for opening day.
Justin Smoke, Saunders' teammate with the Seattle Mariners, trying to hook on here with the Blue Jays as the first baseman. Smoke is 28 years old. He's a former #1 pick of the Texas Rangers. He has had some good offensive numbers. He had a career high 20 home runs for the Mariners in 2013. But last year was a disappointing season when he hit just .202. But you can see the impact he could bring to the ball club with his glove if he can just hold his head above water with the bat.
We've already seen it today, taking that throw from Josh Donaldson from third base, ranging wide to his right. He has got to get that swing back. He's looking to return that power stroke that he had when he was such a big prospect, first drafted by the Rangers.
He came to the Mariners in a deal that included Cliff Lee going from Seattle to Texas, and that took place in July of 2010. Blue Jays claimed Smoke off of waivers from the Mariners. He bounces this ball toward first. Shoveled to first as the pitcher Sadler is covering. 3 up, 3 down. 6 straight retired by Casey Sadler. He's got that sinker working.
Two of the brightest stars in men's tennis renew their rivalry as Canada hosts Japan in Davis Cup action today. World number 6 Milos Raonic taking on Kei Nishikori, and with the win, Raonic will move Canada into the quarterfinals. That is all on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 1 at 4 o'clock this afternoon Eastern.
Thank you, Barry. Milos Raonic is 11-0 in Davis Cup action on Canadian soil, so the odds are in his favor. Another great match coming up later this afternoon. Jose Tabata goes after the first pitch. Hopper to short. He's retired. Sanchez back for a third inning of work.
And isn't that so efficient when you can throw a first pitch sinker around 95 miles per hour, but it's that movement. Pitchers are learning. Marcus Stroman has learned this with his sinker. You can get some quick outs. Now the pitch count's not rushing up there. Marcus said, I used to throw 90 pitches and I'd be in the 5th inning because he's striking people out. There's nothing wrong with pitching to contact. Sanchez did it right there. 1 pitch, 1 out.
There's a big argument as to where Sanchez is most valuable to the team. What's your stance on that?
Well, I think Aaron Sanchez is a starting pitcher. He was drafted high. He's got 3 good pitches, and there's a reason why he was taken when he was. He provided a wonderful relief for the Blue Jays last season, and he did an outstanding job. The problem is the situation the Blue Jays are in right now in that fight for that 5th spot. I would love to see Daniel Norris take it, win that spot. They need help in the bullpen, and I think that power arm can be down there again, and that way you leave the other candidate, Marco Estrada, in the bullpen, who is acquired from the Brewers for Adam Lind. There's 2 good right-handed arms. Put those with Cecil and Luke down there. There's 4 guys in your in your bullpen already, and now you've just got a few spots to fill, and that bullpen's slowly taking shape.
A lot of pieces to the puzzle, and fortunately for John Gibbons and Alex Anthopoulos, that puzzle doesn't have to be put together until the 6th of April.
That's right. And I think Sanchez's best spot is in the rotation for his future, but maybe right now in a team that's ready to try to win, it might be in the bullpen.
Sanchez loses Brett Morrell, the first baseman, with ball 4. So that's the first base runner to reach against Aaron Sanchez. John Gibbons likes the way the youngsters have really come into camp and kind of made their presence known. Sanchez, we talk about Pompey and Pilar, have done it defensively and with the bats. Drew Hutchison had a couple real good innings the other day in his first outing. That came in relief. Marcus Stroman, he continues to make strides and impress. This is Gift Ngope, the shortstop. He's a very interesting baseball player in that he comes from South Africa. He played on the 2009 World Baseball Classic team for South Africa. He came out of the Baseball Academy in Italy. And you talk about baseball becoming a worldwide sport. This is perfect evidence of that.
Certainly a global game now. We're seeing players from many different nations.
He committed just 2 errors in Double-A from the 1st of July to through the end of the season. He's a very good defender. Bounces this sinker up the first base line. I had a chance to manage against the South Africa team in 2006 in the inaugural World Baseball Classic. And we started Roger Clemens against the South African team. It was in Phoenix. And they were a young bunch of players. And there was a young third baseman that was just out of high school. And I got a chance to visit with him. I said, how long have you been playing? He said, 15 years. I go, how old are you? He goes, 18.
Very experienced veteran.
1-2, 1 out. Outside now it's even at 2-2. But for those young South African kids to get a chance to play in the tournament first and foremost, but then to play against Team USA and have Roger Clemens on the mound, it was a baseball thrill for sure.
And traditionally we've seen players from the Caribbean, Dominican and Venezuela and Mexico, but now you're starting to see the Asians, and now here you go, perfect example, South Africa with Major League Baseball at these academies all over the world. Players getting great opportunities.
Major League Baseball, yeah, they're doing a great job of spreading the word. They have really expanded into mainland China. Former Blue Jay coach John McLaren managed the WBC team in 2013 for China. And he had a couple of big leaguers as his coaches. Bruce Hurst, the pitching coach, and Art Howe was his hitting coach. 2-2, 1 out. Popped into center field. Should be an easy play for Kevin Pillar. Makes the catch, 2 down. And Gope retired.
You know, I talked to Aaron Sanchez about starting. Most of these guys, Marco Estrada's in the same boat. They'd rather start. These guys are starting pitchers. They want to be the starter, but you know, the same answer came from both of them. The veteran Estrada, the youngster Sanchez, I just want to win, and I will do whatever it takes for this team to win. If they put me in the bullpen and that's where I'm best suited, that's fine. But usually a starting pitcher's first choice is to be in that rotation.
That's a familiar theme we're hearing an awful lot from everybody in this camp, is winning. Ramon Santiago, the utility infielder, making a bid for this team. He mentioned that. You bring in Josh Donaldson, who's come from a winning culture with the A's. You bring in Russell Martin, who's been to the postseason 7 of his 9 years, and all of a sudden winning is emphasized on a daily basis.
Talked to Jose Bautista this morning about that, just in terms of his preparation for the season. And you know, he and Edwin have basically run this team.
There's a field attempt. Ball's going to sail into center. And well, we'll head over to third base on the throwing here. Charge to Deanna Navarro. Looked like Navarro kind of got caught flat-footed, and that throw tailed on him. You can see he wasn't close to second with his throw.
Well, you can see the runner at first base shuffle. It's a delay steal, and as a catcher with a left-handed batter up, you're kind of blocked. You've got to rely on your teammates to yell that the runner is going. Obviously, nobody was yelling that. Nice job by the base runner with those shuffles. By the time you realize that runner's going, Navarro just hurried his throw, and when you rush that throw, the arm trails. Talk about it with pitchers all the time. He just airmailed that ball into center field.
Ball on the strike, 2 outs, runner at third base. Steve Lombardozzi fouls it back to the screen. This is where Sanchez has to pick up his catcher.
Absolutely. There's 2 outs right now, and this is a big hitter right here for Aaron. He can get this to close this inning up. But these are the good tests, too. These are good tests for youngsters. Veterans seem to be better on most occasions. We saw Mark Burley yesterday in Clearwater get out of a first-inning jam. 2 on, nobody out. Threw that cutter inside, got the pop-up. Then he got an inning-ending double play. See if the youngster Sanchez could do the same.
Changeup missed down and away.
Talk about battling adversity, though, and this is where youngsters can really make huge gains by getting through, picking up your teammate. Usually we talk about the veterans picking up a younger player. In this case, Sanchez is going to try to pick up his catcher.
2-2 pitch. 5-3 call. Sanchez does the job. He erases the impact of that error by his catcher. For Sanchez, 3 strikeouts and 3 clean innings of work. Impressive in it, 3 innings of work. It was designed to be 2, possibly 3 innings, and he finishes up with a flurry. Strikes out the last batter he faced. He ends up with 3 strikeouts. He walked a batter. Nothing more for Aaron Sanchez in a very good outing.
It's a very nice few innings for Sanchez, and it's exactly what Pete Walker wanted to see. He utilized all 3 pitches today. Nice job by Navarro incorporating those things. But what a nice way to finish up for Sanchez, picking up his catcher on that delayed steal. Deanna threw that ball into center field, but like the crafty veteran would do, he comes up with a big strikeout to end the inning.
Blue Jays, bottom of the order. It'll be Pompey, Pilar, and Myceris against Casey Sadler. He has been perfect through the first 2 innings. Pompey shows bunt, takes one outside. Dalton Pompey made his major league debut with the Blue Jays last year, and he made a positive impression in his first taste of big league baseball. Shows bunt, pulls it up the first baseline. Sadler gets off the mound and makes a bang-bang play at first. Good idea for Pompey. 1 down here.
There's nothing wrong with that right there. Pompey did that yesterday in Clearwater against the Phillies, too. He didn't bunt the ball, but it was just the thought process, thinking of incorporating that into his game, which he did, utilizing that speed. Nice play by Sadler, bouncing off the mound and making the play, but that's something that any player that has speed, you have to bunt for a base hit once in a while. Brings those corner infielders in at first and third base, and then you can possibly slap something by them, that 1 or 2 hopper that normally they would get to. They get into the outfield.
Kevin Pilar off to a good start here in spring training. Pilar had an RBI single in yesterday's game. Drove in the first run of the ball game. 53 games a year ago with the Blue Jays. What's the biggest difference you've seen in Pilar so far this spring?
I think his knowledge of the strike zone has been tremendous. We saw him chase a lot of bad pitches last year when he was up in Toronto, and I asked him about that. His answer was that he feels more in control right now. When you're in control, you gain a little confidence. He's seeing the ball well. I spoke to Brooke Jacoby, the Blue Jays hitting coach, about that, and he said, it's his first time setting eyes on him. He likes the package. He likes the potential for power, but he seems in control.
There's a drive to left field, high and deep, but that's going to hang up for the left fielder. Pilar hit it on the nose, but the wind kind of knocked it down, and it hangs up for Tamina in left.
It's tough luck for Kevin Pilar. He hit that ball on the screws. The flags today blowing straight in hard from left field. See them pretty stiff right now, and he hit that ball into the teeth of the wind on a still day. I think that puts the Blue Jays up 1-0.
Myceris, the number 9 hitter and second baseman. Astros takes a strike. Casey Sadler's been impressive in his outing. Astros got in just 11 games a year ago. Injured himself walking down the steps of the dugout in Baltimore. Getting ready to start the ball game and hurt that knee and had to undergo season-ending surgery.
Very difficult. Astros looking very strong right now and healthy, and he said he's rehabbing from that injury. It's probably the best shape he's ever been in.
Another fly ball. This is a routine fly ball to center. Casey Sadler has 3 perfect innings in his second outing of the spring. Welcome back to Florida. We're pleased to be joined now from the Blue Jays dugout, the starting pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Aaron, you didn't even break a sweat today. What's up with that? Good stuff. Good start for you tonight. What was working so well for you this afternoon?
I think a little bit of everything. Kind of going into today's game plan, it was just about using everything and attacking these guys. And I think that's what we did well today.
Aaron, we watched you throw predominantly fastballs later in the season last year. You had tremendous success. You were up around 96, 98 with great movement. Do you feel now you have to incorporate more pitches if you're in this starting role?
I don't say necessarily have to incorporate everything. I think you have to use it more often. But yeah, I mean, I felt good out there today, and I'm ready to move on.
Aaron, how has it helped you, the fact that you got up to the big leagues last year? How has that helped you in your preparation this spring?
Oh, tremendously. Last year, you know, coming in, a new guy, rookie, not a roster invitee, kind of just kept my mouth shut. I'm a little bit more comfortable this year. I know what I need to do. So it's a lot better coming back in this year.
How big is it, Aaron, having a mix of veterans and youth on this team right now? Who, for you as a pitcher, do you turn to kind of emulate or ask for suggestions?
I think you can pick everybody's brain here. I mean, there's so many valuable guys with experience at this level. Anywhere from Luke, that hasn't really been here a long time, all the way up to Burley, who's been doing this for 15 years. So you definitely got your options, and they're open to talk about anything, and that's the biggest thing.
What has allowed you to gain command of the strike zone since you've arrived in the big leagues compared to what we saw in the minor leagues?
Yeah, I think it had to do a little bit with just my mental standpoint. Pratt sat me down one time in AAA, and he just said, "Attack these guys, just attack, and kind of right after that start, things started, you know, just kind of zoning up, and I found myself in the big leagues not shortly after that.
Aaron, you've got a power arm. You were drafted because of that, of course, and your other pitches. But when did you incorporate the two-seam fastball to get the kind of movement you do with the high velocity?
Yeah, honestly, that was like kind of on-the-fly type pitch. I always had it. I didn't really throw it that much. It really didn't do anything. The higher I got up, it was more of a safe pitch for me. Hitters counts, being able to throw that in there, and being 100% confident that it's something was going to be on the ground or I was going to get weak contact. So as I got higher up in the minor leagues, you know, AA, AAA, I started using a lot more. And when I got to the big leagues, I found tremendous success with it. And if you know Navi's one of those guys that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And we just rode with it until we needed to go something else.
Aaron, I know what you're going to say publicly about starting and relieving, but if everything worked out perfectly, what is your preference?
I mean, I've started my whole life, and obviously that's my preference, but I understand that we got a pretty good good team here, and we got a chance to win a lot of games. And if that means I've got to pitch in the ninth or the back end of the bullpen, and that what makes our team better, then I'm going to do that.
Aaron, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a great outing.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Aaron.
Aaron Sanchez, what a polished young man with a lot of confidence. The umpire behind the plate, E.J. Rayburn, got hit with a foul tip. That ball wasn't a foul tip. It was a hit by pitch as Cervelli got hit by the pitch from Todd Redmond, who has entered the game. The ball carried off Cervelli and hit the umpire. He was down for a while, but everybody appears to be okay.
Sometimes as a catcher, you'll wear those deflections, or even sometimes when hitters try to bunch, you'll get that foul tip. But this one went past Deanna Navarro, got the man in blue behind the plate.
Redmond working to Polanco with a runner at first. This is popped up right over home plate. First baseman Smoke comes down, takes the ball in foul ground, and there's nothing better for a catcher on a day like today than to hear somebody else say, "I got it."
That is tremendous job, and they're the most thankful person in the ballpark right now is Deanna Navarro. When you see that ball go up in the air, especially with the flags blowing the way they are. Good help by Justin Smoke. Todd Redmond pitched an inning in Bradenton on Wednesday. Easy 1-2-3 inning. He got 3 easy fly balls, and he's certainly vying for that long man in the Blue Jays bullpen again this season. Very valuable. His versatility for John Gibbons. He's able to go an inning if you need him, and he can eat up 3 or 4 innings. Just a real valuable guy down in that bullpen.
Andrew Lambeau grounded out to third his first time up. Redmond was originally drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's a local fellow who grew up in St. Petersburg. He was drafted out of junior college here in St. Pete by the Pirates back in 2004. He's one of those great stories, a late-round pick who made his way to the big leagues. Last couple of years with the Blue Jays, he's been an invaluable guy in that he can pitch out of the pen. 2013, he made 14 starts for the Jays. kind of filling in for the injured starters.
And he's not going to wow you with his stuff. The radar gun's not going to blow up. He'll be around 90, 91. The big thing for Todd, he's got the slider and the split as well, but he tries to change his arm angles on occasion, give the hitters a different look.
Misses with that pitch upstairs.
Pitchers try to upset hitters' timing. That's their job. And if they don't have the tremendous stuff, and Todd will tell you, he does not have that stuff. But what he can do is provide that deception in his delivery. He does that by changing his arm angle once in a while, getting a little bit more movement on that two-seam fastball.
3-0 to Lambeau, the DH this afternoon. There's a strike in there. Now it's 3-1.
The difficulty he'll have once in a while, we saw Todd run into this a little bit later in the season last year, is because he's constantly changing angles, trying to provide that deception, it becomes difficult to repeat your delivery, and then he gets in trouble like he has right here to Gregory Polanco, and you fall behind hitters a little bit.
Interesting thing, it's a tough roll, that long man. There goes Cervelli at first. Another pop-up on the infield, and this one is blowing back. Long run for Reyes, who had to go back to his position. I don't think Josh Donaldson ever saw the ball. Reyes, the shortstop, broke to cover second base with Cervelli running.
Well, this ball, you can see the runner start running. Jose Reyes' responsibility is to cover the bag, but he's not even looking at the pop-up. If you look in the outfield, Dalton Pompey, he's running in as fast as he can to try to get there, but the wind brought it back all the way towards the infield. Good recovery right there by Reyes. Difficult play when you're going one way to cover the bag and all of a sudden have to dart the other.
Donaldson never saw the ball. Sean Rodriguez cuts on the first pitch and misses. Blue Jays have switched their outfielders as they have done with Pompey and Pilar. Pompey started in left field with Pilar in center. Now they have flip-flopped.
John Gibbons has done that a couple times this spring. He wants to give them experience in both positions and see if they can handle it. It'll be interesting if Michael Saunders is not ready opening day. These are two leading candidates because they're both young players. They're off to good starts here in the spring. They've both had some experience now at the major league level. It'll be very interesting to see how this outfield situation pans out. Blue Jays have signed Dion Viciedo also, and he's been hitting some balls on the screws.
0-2 to Sean Rodriguez. Breaking ball pulled to third. Backhanded by Donaldson across the diamond. Easy out. Rodriguez retired. Pirates leave a base runner. We're headed to the bottom of the fourth. Still looking for the first hit of the ball game.
Training on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Scott's Coated Grass Seed. This spring, build up your outfield, even if you miss a day of watering, with Scott's Coated Grass Seed.
New pitcher into the game for Pittsburgh is Stolmy Pimentel. Casey Sattler had a good outing.
Pimentel, 6'3", 230 pounds. He was signed by the Boston Red Sox as an amateur free agent back in 2006. Got parts of a couple of seasons with Pittsburgh last season and also in 2013. Fastball will average just over 93 miles per hour. The slider, and his best pitch is that split finger.
Pimentel came to the Pirates along with Mark Melanson and Jerry Sands and an infielder, Ivan De Jesus, for Joel Hanrahan a couple years ago. And unfortunately, Hanrahan is going to undergo his second Tommy John surgery.
Tigers tried to provide him an opportunity to come back, but that did not work out, releasing him last week. And it's always difficult to hear a pitcher getting Tommy John surgery, but the second one is very difficult to come back from.
Jose Reyes, the shortstop, swings with that slider down and in. It's 0-2. Pimentel out in front.
They say the success rate, health-wise, bouncing back from a Tommy John surgery is up around 85%. But that second one, it drops dramatically.
Bouncing ball, big and hot for Ngope. It's short, handle it easily. Reyes is retired. 2 ground ball outs for Jose. So Josh Donaldson will step in, and Donaldson, of course, a big acquisition in the offseason. And when you look at what he has done in his short career, boy, he's put up some big numbers.
Yeah, he sure has.
One thing he does that's most impressive is he plays every day.
He plays every day, and that's one thing Alex Anthopoulos talked about at the end of last season. He wants guys that are going to be on the field more and have that consistency. We know that was an issue with Brett Lawrie and his injuries.
There's a bullet to left field, a one hopper to Tampa, and Donaldson's aboard with a 1-out single. That's the first hit of the ballgame.
Talk to Josh about coming to a new team like this. Obviously coming with the reputation of being a winner. He's been to the playoffs a few times, but it's one thing he does. He'll go up looking for that pitch, and this time he did it right there. But he came in saying, I'm not going to come in and change this place. I'm just going to let it evolve, do my thing. Well, I think what's going to evolve here, Buck, is you're going to see both Donaldson and Russell Martin very early in the season jumping in this leadership role and helping this club move forward.
He hit his first big league home run at Rogers Center against left-hander Dana Evelyn back in 2010. Bautista with 1 out. Jose was called out on strike 3 his first time up. He had a good at bat, fouled off a lot of tough pitches, and it was called out on a fastball in the outside corner.
Don't think he necessarily liked the call, and after having some conversation with Jose about his knowledge of the strike zone too, and we've seen it, we saw it all last year, he never gets called out. I question the call myself.
He is a true student of the game. He knows all about umpires. He loves to study pitchers, and he goes up there with a pretty good game plan. Bautista, he too was a Pirate. And his best opportunity before coming to Toronto with Pittsburgh. But then things have just exploded for him since coming to the Blue Jays.
And you mentioned that word win again when I asked Jose about his role with this club, and he and Edwin and how they've led this club, and now you've added 2 great players in Donaldson and Martin, but he understands it's a team win. He said he didn't talk about the home runs he hit and the runs he drove in. He talked about the number of runs that he scored. And he scores a lot of runs, but he said that's what the guys behind me are doing a pretty good job too, and it takes a collective effort.
This time he takes a walk, and certainly it's a big part of his game. He's patient. He had 100 walks again last season, and now runners at first and second for Edwin Encarnacion. What does it do to this lineup that is stretched out even further, more than Bautista and Encarnacion, with the addition of Martin and Donaldson?
Makes it very difficult on pitchers. They can't just pitch around 1 or 2 players now to get to a 5 or 6 or 7 hitter. When you lengthen that lineup up, and you see even today when you've got like a Deanna Navarro, Justin Smoke, if he can find his power stroke back in his form, it makes it very difficult on a catcher calling a game and an opposing pitcher, because you can't just pitch around 1 or 2 guys and get to those easier spots.
Jose Bautista is out of the game. Pinch running at first is Chris Colabello. 1 out. Encarnacion goes after the first pitch. Ground ball is short. Ngope to second. Back to first. Scooped over there by Brett Morrell. And Encarnacion hits it into the inning-ending double play. Through 4 here in Dunedin, it's still a scoreless ball game. Pitchers have the upper hand early.
No shortage of fans dressed up in Blue Jays paraphernalia here this afternoon. And if you want to get suited up for the 2015 season, visit jshop.ca. They have the largest online selection of authentic Blue Jays caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. Visit jshop.ca or call 1-877-JAYS-SHOP. Buck.
Thank you, Barry. Barry's enjoying the great sunshine here in Dunedin. He's going to be with us all spring long and throughout the regular season. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is Scott Barnes, the left-hander.
Barnes pitched an inning Wednesday at Bradenton against the Pirates. Very good inning, 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout. Fastball will be around 91 miles per hour. Slider and changeup. It's an 8th-round pick of the San Francisco Giants back in 08. Got parts of 2 seasons in the big leagues, pitching in 22 games out of the bullpen with the Cleveland Indians.
Barnes was a college pitcher at St. John's, pitched for the Red Storm, along with former major leaguers, guys like Frank Viola and John Franco, both pitched at St. John's in New York. Trying to find a spot on this ball club, working out of the bullpen. Last year, he pitched all year long at Columbus in AAA for the Cleveland Indians. It's a left-hander for the first batter he faces here in the center fielder, Jeff Decker. Pirates looking for their first hit. Blue Jays have just one. Boy, Blue Jays pitching has been outstanding the last couple of days. Yesterday against the Phillies, the Blue Jay pitchers retired 18 straight batters at one point.
They kept throwing them out there yesterday, and it started with Mark Burley. 2 scoreless, Marco Estrada, Miguel Castro, one of those names that we really want to keep an eye on. High velocity fastball, good movement, good changeup.
Look out. Ball got away from Barnes, and Decker had to bail out.
It's not a very easy feeling as a left-handed batter in the batter's box against a left-hander, and you can see a lot of times as a lefty, you're waiting maybe to sit on a breaking ball. As that ball gets closer and closer to your head, you just have to evacuate the scene. Decker just getting out of the way there.
Barnes is 27 years old. As Joe mentioned, he started out his career with the San Francisco Giants. There's a breaking ball on the outside corner. You cannot hit that one after you have to bail out.
That's not fair. One ball goes right by Decker's head, and then he throws that perfect slider down and away.
Wicked pitch. Navarro clears a path to make a throw to first. Strikeout for Barnes.
Now that ball behind Decker's head is not intended whatsoever, but when you do get a pitch like that, there's no way you are seeing the ball the same way, and you can tell that Decker just did not pick up either one of these sliders from Barnes.
Yeah, that's a tough at bat. Tough to see in spring training to begin with. Bright sunshine, backgrounds aren't as good as they are in the major leagues. Jose Tabata, the left fielder, goes after the first pitch and drives this one deep to center. That ball is going to be off the wall. Pompey plays it back to the cutoff man, Reyes, and the Pirates have their first hit of the afternoon, and one out double by Jose Tabata.
We talked earlier about the ball that Kevin Pillar hit to left field that probably would have put the Blue Jays up 1-0 if those flags were a little bit more still. But this time Tabata, he leaned into one. He hit this one even better. This is a no-doubter on a regular day here in Dunedin. The wind keeping it in the ballpark.
Tabata had 5 doubles with the Pirates a year ago. 282 hitter. Brett Morrell, who is playing at first base. Morrell in the 8th spot in the order. Morrell was actually with the Blue Jays for a short period of time over the offseason between December of 2013 and February of 2014. Blue Jays took him off the waiver wire from the White Sox, and then Pittsburgh claimed him in February of 2014, so he never actually put a Blue Jays uniform on. At one time, he was a highly touted third base prospect for the Chicago White Sox, and he ran into some injury problems. Good pitch on the outside corner. Navarro did a good job of receiving that baseball.
There's some credit right there to the catcher, Navarro. And you've been critical last year about DeHonors receiving and not keeping balls in the strike zone. An outstanding job right there on a ball that's probably just off the plate away. But the way he received that baseball gave home plate umpire DJ Rayburn a very good look. He gets the call.
Cut on and missed. It's 2-2 to Brent Morel. Are you a fan of the phrase framing?
I don't like the word framing, and I've been talking about it all off season, because now that all this data is being collected and they have all these numbers, I keep hearing the word framing. Well, to me, I've told my young catchers when I taught them, framing is something you do on a terrible pitch and you're trying to make it look good. You are not going to trick a major league umpire. I call it receiving.
Here.
My focus,
I agree with you 100%.
My focus is on receiving the baseball, which for me, I try to tell the kids, soft hands, take it in. You want to funnel that ball in towards the strike zone, whether it's on either side of the plate or even up or down. But framing for me is sticking a pitch and turning your glove. To me, you're telling everybody in the world that it was not quite a strike, but I'm trying to make it look like one. And umpires don't buy into that either.
No. As soon as they see that movement, it's a red flag for them. 3-2, one out, runner at second base. Jose Tabata has doubled.
The good receivers in the game will just bring that ball and funnel it towards the strike zone. If it's off the plate just away, you receive that ball and just funnel it towards the corner of the plate. And umpires appreciate that quiet catcher, a quiet body back there that gives them a good look.
And a drive deep to right center. This ball is hit a ton. It is off the wall. Tabata comes around to score, and the Pirates have taken a 1-0 lead on back-to-back doubles here in the fifth.
Well, Barnes is having a little trouble with the strike zone, and you can see this pitch where it ends up and out over the plate. And again, here's another ball that probably stayed into the ballpark with those flags blowing the way they are, but you've got to get the ball down in the zone. Barnes extends those arms, and that's what any hitter likes to do. The power comes from being short to the baseball, but then extending and driving that ball, and he did that perfectly into the right center gap.
And number 9 hitter is Gifton Gope. He's a switch hitter, batting right-handed against Barnes. Gope flying to center his only time up. 1-0 Pittsburgh, back-to-back doubles here. Their first 2 hits of the afternoon. Aaron Sanchez started. He had 3 impressive innings. Walked a batter, struck out 3, left a runner at third base in his 3 innings of work. Todd Redmond, he too had a good inning. He hit a batter, but allowed nothing else. Two and 0 to Ngope. Good cut, fouls it back. We mentioned earlier, and if you're just joining us, Ngope is from South Africa. He went from South Africa to the Major League Baseball Academy in Italy. He was a member of the 2009 South African World Baseball Classic team. There's a strike. It's 2-2. The Blue Jays are counting on seeing Chad Jenkins today. Might get his chance to see Andrew Alvarez as well, maybe Bull Schultz. And early in the spring, you'll see a lot of pitchers as the starters aren't stretched out yet. Down and in, gets away from Navarro, but Morel holds his ground.
Nice job by Navarro right there on that ball in the dirt, keeping that runner at second base. Pitch by Barnes down in the dirt, and DeHonor getting down there. Most important thing as a catcher, when you call the off-speed pitch, whether it's the slider, curveball, split, you have to anticipate. Anticipate the ball's going to be in the dirt. You can't expect it to be right down the middle and react. It'll be too late. You've got to get your body into that position. You have to beat the baseball to that spot.
Full count, 1 out. Ripped to the third baseman, Donaldson. Makes a nice catch of the liner. 2 down. Josh Donaldson is very athletic. He really has that first good step, and he makes a good play on this liner.
Well, you talk about that first step in reaction time. Josh Donaldson came up as a catcher, and when he was a catcher, as we know, Buck, those are probably the best athletes on the field.
No question about it.
But that good first step by Donaldson when he was asked to go to third base, he gladly did it, and he's got that same reaction down there, and that's the hot corner for a reason. He was able to react to that ball in a hurry.
I think Donaldson is just starting to really refine his defensive skills at third base. You know, both you and I were catchers, of course, but you know a lot of the catching philosophy is knock it down, keep it in front of you. And, you know, there's some of that at third base, but more than anything, you want to learn technique, and he's working hard with Luis Rivera down here in spring training to refine his skills.
And you can do that at third base. The ball usually gets to you in a hurry. As long as you block it somehow, keep it in front of you, you usually got time to make that throw to first base.
Ball and a strike, 2 outs. Steve Lombardozzi, the second baseman, switch hitting, fouls it back. This is his first at bat from the right side.
And it is hard to believe that Josh Donaldson really has not been doing this for very long. I mean, when you hear that name, you think this guy's been doing it for 8-10 years in the big leagues. He's still relatively new, but it's just that he's one of the best in the game down there.
It doesn't hurt either that he played on a good team, and he's got to the postseason last couple of years, and he gets a lot of recognition, but he has learned everything. He has earned everything that has come his way. Cut on and missed. Ball in the dirt. Navarro gets out in front of home to throw out Lombardozzi. The inning is over, but the Pirates have broken the scoreless tie. 1-0 Pittsburgh as we head to the bottom of the fifth. Telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Blue sky and a lot of white billowy clouds here in Florida. Bobby LaFramboise is pitching. We saw him when the Pirates are last here in Dunedin. There's their numbers from a year ago.
6 games up with the Pirates last season. Fastball will be around 90 miles per hour. He's got a slider and a changeup. 6'4", 215 pounds, big left-hander.
It'll be Navarro, Smoke, and Pompey for the Blue Jays. 3 consecutive switch hitters, which is a real luxury for John Gibbons. Yanner Navarro, as we speak, probably destined to do a lot of DHing. Russell Martin, of course, was brought in on a 5-year contract. He's going to do most of the catching. And the way it stands right now, John Gibbons said, I like the fact that Navarro can DH for us.
Well, I think John Gibbons really likes that switch hitting bat of Deanna Navarro, and I spoke to Deanna early in camp about the whole situation. The Blue Jays going out and signing Russell Martin as a free agent. And what he said was, I said my piece early on. He let them know how he felt. Of course, he was not happy. He signed a 2-year contract to be the starter here. But what he did is he said, I said my piece, and now we're going to move on. He knows things will just work out fine. Whether he stays in a reserve role or as a DH with the Blue Jays, or throughout the course of spring training, we know catchers get hurt all the time. With all these spring camps going on, what if a catcher somewhere else does get hurt? All of a sudden, he's a pretty nice bargaining piece to get something in return.
2 balls and a strike. Hit hard in the hole, and Bullpen gloves it, fires in time at first. We told you he could pick it. 1 out. Nice play at short. Let's check in with Barry Davis.
Buck, you guys have talked a lot about the influence of Jose Bautista and what he's able to contribute at the plate and in the field. Well, you can add mentor to his list of duties with this team. 2 of the young outfielders, Dalton Pompey and Kevin Pillar. Yes, they worked a lot on baseball. They worked on fitness, but he went well beyond that. A lot of life lessons he taught those guys. Kevin Pillar said he even taught him about investments, how to put their money away for good use. So many things that he's able to do with these young players. He loves being the role of mentor, and these young players are really, really taking advantage of him being as...
That's great information, and there are so many things that these young players have to deal with, and you can get overwhelmed if you don't have somebody like Bautista to help explain things and give you the do's and don'ts. Of course, first it starts with the baseball field. There are certain things you want the young players to do, fall in line and be part of a good team, and then you go life lessons, financial lessons. I mean, it's all good stuff, and Bautista has certainly experienced it all.
Well, he sure has, and it's a nice mix now of veterans and youth. You're starting to see some of these young players make an impact at the major league level for the Blue Jays.
Justin Smoak, the switch hitter, strikes out as a right-handed hitter. Smoak is 0 for 2.
So many distractions in this game as well. You watch on TV or listen on the radio, you're seeing a baseball game and you think these players are just immune to everything else, but there's an awful lot going on. You mentioned some things. The one thing that strikes for me is the media attention. These guys have to deal with the media every day, and we see it, Buck. We're part of it, but you have to answer questions every day, good, bad, or indifferent, depending on your performance. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of days I'm sure guys at their lockers see people coming, and they just want to turn the other way, but it's part of the game, and they have to deal with it.
Dalton Pompey, one of those youngsters that Bautista's helped mentor. The switch hitting aspect is really interesting. Boy, you talk about jamming up an opposing manager. And you've got so many switch hitters in your lineup, and the Blue Jays have 5 today.
Takes all the platoon advantages away from an opposing manager. I spoke with Dalton Pompey about that.
Hot shot, nice play by Rodriguez. He better hurry. Just in time to get Pompey. He thought he'd beat it, but he'll be out. 3 up, 3 down. The Blue Jays go in order. We played 5, and the Pirates have a 1-0 lead. on their staff this season, and that's Brooke Jacoby, who has been named the hitting coach. Jacoby is 55 years old. He last coached as the assistant hitting coach in the minor leagues for the Texas Rangers. Previous to that, he was the hitting coach for the Reds for 7 seasons. And he is a former major leaguer. He played in 1,300 games, mostly with the Cleveland Indians. He was a good hitter, and now he's trying to pass along some of his experience to his young hitters here with the Blue Jays.
Well, he certainly is, and he's coming in a bit of an awkward situation. I spoke to Brooke about that. When you're the 4th hitting coach in 4 years in an organization, you're coming in and just kind of treading water a little bit. He's seeing a lot of new hitters, doing a lot of watching early on in camp, but he and both Eric Owens, his assistant hitting coach, have talked about is allowing the hitters to come to them. He's got a hitting philosophy. Talked to Brooke a lot about the whole shifts in baseball and how to combat that. And the one comment he made is he's all about beating the shifts. That's the only way you're going to get them to go back. But what you have to do is you have to do it without manipulating your swing.
Francisco Cervelli hits a ground ball to Reyes. High throw, and Justin Smoke makes another good play. That's 3 errors he has saved in this ball game for his infielders.
And when you watch the footwork, this is why I talk about the footwork. He's a big target over there. Now, this is a routine play for Jose Reyes. He's got to get on top of this ball. But number one, the wingspan and the reach, but it begins with the feet. I always talk about infield work starts from the ground up, and Smoke's able to adjust his feet to get in position, to reach up, catch the ball, and still come down in time to tag Cervelli crossing first base.
That's a big play in a low-scoring game. Keep that first runner off.
And it's such a big play for Chad Jenkins.
Chad Jenkins, his numbers a year ago, 21 games with the Blue Jays, and man, he was on a shuttle back and forth between AAA and the big leagues.
Well, and he still has options left in his contract this year, and that could hurt him again. He pitched an inning Thursday at Sarasota against the Orioles, gave up a couple of singles, but then a big 3-run homer after falling behind to Chris Davis.
Gregory Polanco, the batter, he is behind 0-2. Sharply hit through the right side into right field. Chris Colabello is now in right. He plays it back in, and Polanco has a 1-out single.
Chad Jenkins has been very solid out of the Blue Jays bullpen. We saw last year when optioned back and forth several times. When you have options left on your contract, the teams can send you down without having to be exposed to the waiver wire. You become a little expendable, and that's what happened to Chad. But he's done a nice job up here with the Blue Jays.
He's now 27 years old. He's a former first-round pick of the Blue Jays. This is the DH, Andrew Lambeau. He is grounded out and popped up. Chad Jenkins got sent back to the minor leagues in spring training on the 16th of March. And then he was called back up to Toronto April 26th. He worked just a third of an inning, and then he went back down to AAA. He was up and down 5 times last year.
And he's a little bit like a Todd Redmond. He's a sinker slider guy. That fastball will be around 90, 91 miles per hour. Nothing overpowering, but really relies on that good movement, slider and changeup. And that's why Chad's so valuable. Again, he's got to get movement on that fastball. When he keeps it down to the zone, these sinker ball pitchers, that's when they get their ground balls. When it elevates, flattens out a little bit. That's what happened the other night with Chris Davis at the plate.
Ground ball bounced to second. Esteuras, his only play is to first. Lambeau's retired. Polanco advances to second. That ball, just a chopped ball off home plate. Esteuras made a good play.
When you're a sinker ball pitcher like Jenkins, you're never really in big trouble because you're usually one pitch away by getting a ground ball. And that was the perfect situation there for a ground ball double play, but hit too softly. Esteuras could just get the 1 out.
John Rodriguez, the third baseman this afternoon, has gone 0 for 2 so far. I think the biggest thing that Pete Walker, the pitching coach, and the manager John Gibbons want to see from these relievers in competition to make the bullpen, those strikes.
Absolutely. It sounds easy. Easier said than done, I guess, but boy, how many times did we talk about it last year on the broadcast? Walking hitters and just asking for trouble.
There's a fly ball to right field. Long run for Pilar. That ball is going to land in foul ground. And Rodriguez will have life. It's not even just the walk. And, of course, you don't want to see any walks. But when you throw batters a number of pitches coming out of the bullpen. For me, you want to have quick resolution. You come out of the bullpen, they don't know what you have on a given day, so why would you throw them 5 and 6 pitches in an at-bat? Try to get that out early.
And I think a lot of that comes with having an aggressive mentality and being aggressive in the strike zone, and that comes from trusting your stuff. And if pitchers don't trust their stuff, you start pitching a little scared, and then you're resorting to your off-speed pitches more, and then you're falling behind hitters more, creating all kinds of problems, and that's where we saw a lot of the walks accumulate from this Blue Jays bullpen.
Remember, in the outfield, both Pilar and Pompey, they're still in the ball game, and Pilar started in center. Now he is in left, Pompey's in center. Chris Colabello is in right. He took over for Bautista. Boy, what a good pitch. Behind the plate, A.J. Jimenez is the new catcher. John Navarro started, and he is out of the game. Good sinker, really ties up Rodriguez, and Jenkins leaves a base runner in scoring position. Good inning for Chad Jenkins. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
TV Premium, the #1 streaming sports service, is now available. Watch over 250 spring training games and every regular season game live or on demand in true HD. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Visit BlueJays.com for more details.
Thank you, Barry. And you want to make sure you check it out. You can see all the games across the major leagues on MLB.TV, so check it out. Beautiful afternoon, a lot of fans on hand, and it has been kind of a mix and match with weather down here the last few days. We've had some heavy rain, we've had some cold afternoons, blustery and windy, but we'll take it. Still sunny. Kevin Pilar will lead things off. He takes a first pitch strike.
Oakland pitched in 9 games for the Pirates last season, all out of the bullpen. 4th-round draft pick of the New York Mets back in 2006.
Pilar tried to check, and he did.
6'7", standing tall out on that mound. Holtzcomb.
Pilar flied to left his first time up. Fights this one off. Kevin Pilar was a 32nd round pick of the Blue Jays. He came out of a Division II school in Los Angeles, Cal State Dominguez Hills. He was a terrific college player, but he certainly wasn't on a lot of people's radar. Look out. Oh, that ball went right through that screen and ends up in the seats as Pilar strikes out. Just lost the grip on that bat. Unfortunately, there are screens up here to protect the fans.
It's a tough pitch from Holtzcomb. You can see this pitch just away, but a little extra pine tar reaction of Pilar there. You know when that bat leaves your hands, there's danger because you have no control, but you know you flung that thing pretty hard. Good thing that net slowed that down and just landed in someone's lap.
Meiser Asturias takes the pitch downstairs for a ball. Asturias flied out to center. Back into third. Blue Jays aren't really sure what they have in Meiser Asturias, given the fact he missed the entire season a year ago with a serious knee injury. He looks great. Obviously, he's had a lot of time to work out, get himself back. He says he has no concern whatsoever about the knee. Doesn't think about it at all. He's just anxious to regain the form he had prior to the injury.
And there's a lot of people in competition at second base. Asturias was able to rehab from that injury. And a lot of guys after injuries, they work so hard that they actually come back stronger than they were before. And I think that's where Meiser is right now. But a lot of bodies in the mix. Talk about Ramon Santiago being signed.
Well, that's a nasty sinking fastball. Shovel to Holtzcomb, who steps on the bag. 2 quick outs for Holtzcomb here in the 6th.
Ryan Goins is still in that mix. He had a shot last year, but just could not cut it offensively. Steve Tollison, Munenori Kawasaki, but most importantly, Devin Travis, traded from the Tigers in that Anthony Ghost deal. And this is a guy that comes with a reputation that he can flat out hit out of Florida State University. Hasn't been able to get it going just yet here early in the spring offensively, but I think John Gibbons really likes what he sees from this young man. And I think with a very good spring, perhaps he'd have an outside shot, but realistically probably slated for AAA.
And probably better off just to go ahead and get off to a good start down in AAA. Played at AA Erie last year in the the Tigers organization. Jose Reyes, he's had a busy day. He has grounded out 3 times. Check that, he's grounded out twice. This is his 3rd at bat.
Talked about the defense of Jose Reyes in the open and how he has to be better at shortstop. And we saw it today again, a routine ground ball, and he trusts that tremendously strong arm. But when you throw down from the side, it's hard to be accurate with that throw to first base. You get a routine ball, you'd rather see your shortstop get on top of the baseball and make that good accurate throw. Drops down and that ball airmails. He was saved by Justin Smoke.
1-1, 2 outs. Reyes drives it to second. That's going to hang up for the second baseman. Quick inning for John Holtzcomb. Blue Jays go quiet in the 6th. We head to the 7th. It's a 1-run game. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Hometown hockey heads to Thompson, Manitoba today as the Flames take on the Senators. Join Ron McLean for the pregame show live, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on City TV. Buck?
Thank you, Barry. Beautiful shot of Mexico down here in Central Florida. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is Colt Hines. He pitched in 49 games, including 7 games with the Buffalo Bisons last year as he was acquired from the Dodgers. Blue Jays took him off the waiver wire.
Hines pitched an inning Thursday at Sarasota against the Orioles, an easy 1-2-3 inning, couple of strikeouts. Yet another one of these arms in camp vying for some bullpen spots. Blue Jays trying to shore up this bullpen. It's definitely an area of need. They have to get better this season.
Well, the Blue Jays not having the ability to go out and sign a frontline closer. Made a big commitment to Russell Martin, a 5-year contract. So you just look around and see how many 6-year free agents you can bring in and hope to catch lightning in a bottle.
A lot of minor league free agents claim waiver wire claims, and a lot of executives now in baseball too. You saw the Tigers did the same thing. Is that there's many GMs now that aren't willing to go out and spend that $6 and $8 and $10 million on a relief pitcher. So they're trying to develop from within and get guys to flourish. It's one area of the game that you don't see a lot of relief pitchers that are real good year after year after year.
As is the case throughout the early stages of spring training, the Blue Jays have made several defensive changes. We mentioned A.J. Jimenez is the catcher. He took over for Deanna Barrar last inning. Jimenez, a highly thought of catching prospect, got up to AAA Buffalo last year. Jeff Decker fouls it back. Decker struck out against the lefty last time up.
Jimenez has been flashing that great arm. Had Tommy John surgery to repair that arm, but boy, does it look good. He's thrown out a few attempted base stealers already this spring.
Ball fouled back to the screen. Jimenez threw a great throw here the other day against the Orioles, and the Scots got him timed at 185.
185, and what was so impressive too is he took a fastball. He was on the inside corner to a left-handed batter. He had to go to his backhand, and what he did is he just rocked and fired. He loaded up that weight on the back leg. You did not perform the traditional footwork that a catcher does. Just inside, corralled that ball and came up and fired a strike right on the bag at second base.
And the foul back to the screen off the bat of Jeff Decker. Of course, the road has been somewhat blocked for Jimenez here with the Blue Jays now. And when you think of Navarro, Tolle ahead of Jimenez, and then Russell Martin's going to be the everyday catcher for hopefully the next 5 years at least. Good pitch from Colt Hines. Gets Decker. He strikes out for a second time this afternoon.
Spoke with Gary Allenson, the Buffalo AAA manager, earlier this week about Jimenez, and really worked on his receiving skills. Does a nice job right here setting up away. And there's that pitch, sticking it on the outside corner. But he feels that he's getting more and more comfortable at calling a ball game since he's come back from his arm injury. But there is no question. Dr. Ukiri this morning actually said that controlling the running game of Buffalo should not be a problem with him behind the plate.
Yeah, he has regained his confidence after that Tommy John surgery. And now he believes that he's got that arm strength back. Here is Jose Tabata, who has scored the only run of this ball game. He got the first Pirate hit in the 5th inning with 1 out. A double to left field, and then came around to score on Brett Morrow's double to center. Back-to-back doubles. 2 of the 3 hits the Pirates have collected this afternoon. Taking fastball is pulled foul. Pitchers appear to have the upper hand early on in spring. The Blue Jays, we mentioned, they had 18 consecutive Phillies retired in the game yesterday over in Clearwater. And they've allowed a run on 3 hits this afternoon. Dalton Pompey breaks in and makes the catch.
Usually the case early in spring training camps, pitchers that have been thrown, they've been off the mound and honing their craft a little more than hitters. Hitters just can't do that. You can't face live pitching all winter long, or even starting in January before you come to spring training. So they get to spring training, they've done their tee work, they've done their soft toss, they've done all their drills to try to refine their swings. But hitting is all about timing, and the way you get your timing is by facing live pitching. So it's going to take some time. I would guess about in the next week here sometime, once these hitters start getting about 20 at-bats under their belts.
Lined right back to the pitcher. Quick inning for the left-hander, Colt Hines, as the pitchers have done their job. Now it's over to the hitters. See if they can break through against the Pittsburgh Pirates. A comebacker right to the mound. No problem for Colt Hines.
Match for Canada tennis today on Sportsnet at 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's Davis Cup play. Milos Raonic taking on Kei Nishikawa. With the win, Raonic and Canada move to the quarterfinals. It is a big one and a huge rivalry. 4 p.m. on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 1.
Barry, that should be great television, as Milos Raonic has played so well in Davis Cup action, and he is 11-0 playing Davis Cup tennis in Canada. So hopefully that'll be another win for Raonic and the Canadians. Beautiful afternoon here in Dunedin. Jeremy Bleich, former first-round pick of the Yankees back in 2008. He's had to go through some shoulder problems. Missed the entire 2011 season after undergoing shoulder surgery. He was the minor league player of the year, comeback player of the year in 2012 as he bounced back to pitch well in the minor leagues for the Yankees.
I need them sticks.
Ramon Santiago, another switch hitter on his roster that all of a sudden is loaded with switch hitters. He is batting in the 2 spot, playing at second base. Santiago is another one of those veteran players that gives you a good effort every day in the field and at the plate.
And another player, Buck, you talked about it, coming from a winning background, been in the playoffs several times with the Detroit Tigers, and that experience can only help get this club over this hump.
He mentioned the word winning too. He said, hey, we got a good team here. Now we go out and win. That's when it makes it really exciting. He just has a good approach at the plate. He's never been a guy that's played an awful lot. Santiago signed originally with the Tigers in 1998. He made it to the big leagues for the first time in 2002. Played a career high 141 games for the Tigers in 2003. Many of his career numbers came in that 2003 season. He had 100 hits, scored 41 runs, and had 18 doubles, all career highs. He's never been an everyday player, but he got 444 at-bats that season, and here he takes ball 4. Good start to the inning. scoreless game. Your job is to get on base.
Santiago's a major leaguer, and that's what he's going to provide here. If he can stick with this club, those are the kinds of bodies you want on your bench. Players that have had that major league experience, a guy that's won at the major league level. And we know that was a bit of an issue last year at times for the Blue Jays, a very thin bench, guys with not a whole lot of experience when they were brought up. You can have guys like that on the bench. They're very valuable.
Chris Colabello has already hit a home run this spring. He's a powerful hitter. Got off to a great start last year with the Twins. He bounces this towards second, and Gope steps on the bag and throws to first for the double play. So immediately that leadoff walk is erased, and Gope has had a good day in the field at short.
Sometimes as a hitter, Colabello coming off the other day when he hit that 3-run homer, he had a few strikeouts the day before trying to jump on that first pitch. You get feeling pretty good with your swing. You're thinking, I'm going to jump on a first pitch fastball right here. You're trying to play that chess match with the pitcher, looking fastball and getting it. But that one he grounded right into the ground, and Gope, a nice double play. He can turn it by himself.
Edwin Encarnacion is the DH. This is his third at bat of the afternoon. Edwin had a terrific month of May last year. He had 16 home runs in the month of May. He got out to a slow start, but boy, he exploded in May. He had 16 homers, 22 extra base hits. That led the majors. And he was just one off the all-time record for home runs in May. Barry Bonds hit 17 in 2001. Well, what a month he had.
He was absolutely on fire. And when you get hot like him, look at the numbers right here. Encarnacion right up there with the top producers in the game these last few years, but you have to do it consistently to be on that list, and you can see Edwin sitting right up there in second place behind Cabrera.
Edwin led the Blue Jays to a 21-9 record in May. They sputtered out of the gate going 12-15 over March and April to start the season, but then that hot bat of Encarnacion really heated up.
And that's the thing with power hitters. Guys like that can hit the long ball. They may have those real dry spells. They may strike out a little bit and have these bad rests. But, boy, when they get hot, they get some kind of hot. And that's what Edwin can do. He can absolutely tear it up. And that's what he did in the month of May. They get in that groove. They get that feel in their swing where they're very comfortable in the batter's box. And a lot of times it comes, too, with looking for certain pitches and guessing right.
Edwin drove in 110 in 2012. Drove in 104 in 13 and missed by 2 of 3 straight 100 RBI seasons. So he takes ball 4, and that's going to be it for Encarnacion. Devin Travis has taken over as the pinch runner at first base, and Edwin's day has come to an end. Devin Travis, we mentioned the young player acquired in an off-season trade with the Detroit Tigers. A.J. Jimenez gets his first at bat of the afternoon. He took over behind the plate for Deanna Navarro, who started and went 0 for 2. Another good pitch on the inside corner. Menace is from Puerto Rico. He was born in San Juan. He makes his home in Bayamon, a suburb of San Juan. 2 outs. We are in the bottom of the 7th. Pitchers have had the upper hand all afternoon. Only 4 hits in the ballgame. That's a foul ball off the leg of the catcher. Jimenez has thrown out 41% of the would-be base stealers for his career. And he has really regained the confidence in that throwing arm. We've seen it already this spring.
Well, he's been blessed with a tremendous arm despite his Tommy John surgery. But it's one thing to be blessed with a great arm, but still the throw has to be accurate. And the way you make an accurate throw as a catcher is by having proper footwork. And that's what I've really noticed from A.J. this spring. The footwork has been outstanding. Couple that with the arm. and that's going to control the running game in a hurry. Not too many would-be base stealers are going to be successful off of him.
0-2. Bounced into dirt. Travis thought about it, but he stays at first.
One of the biggest drills catchers will do is footwork and exchange, and it's exactly that. They're working on their footwork, throwing it to the base, and the exchange of that ball from the glove to the throwing hand. And catchers work on that all the time so that it becomes muscle memory. It's much like infielders fielding ground balls. Always talk about working from the ground up, and it all starts with your feet because they get your body in a good position to make an accurate throw.
The pitcher into the ball game for the Pirates, we mentioned it is Jeremy Bleish. Grew up in Louisiana. Bleish pitched at Stanford. Went to the College World Series in 2008. Last year, he spent time in AAA and in AA with the Yankees, and he was signed as a minor league free agent by the Pirates in November. 1-2, 2 outs. That missed downstairs is now 2-2. Mitch Ney is on deck if Jimenez can keep the inning alive. Now it's a full count. The runner at first, the pinch runner Devin Travis, will be off on the pitch.
Good patience by Jimenez, and these are the kinds of things that John Giddens will be looking for. What if this Russell Martin experiment, catching the knuckleball, works? He's going to be catching Dickey. All of a sudden, Toley's expendable. But if it doesn't work, Toley's here. And if Navarro gets traded, what happens if Russell Martin gets hurt? You may have to call upon Jimenez to catch some ball games. So is he ready at the major league level to fill in? Those are the questions that they're going to ask themselves as this scenario plays out.
Jimenez has a good mentor in his AAA manager, Gary Allenson, who is a longtime major league catcher. Plus, Allenson is very matter-of-fact in his evaluation. He doesn't sugarcoat many things, and if Jimenez is ready, he'll be the first to tell the Blue Jays. But if not, he'll be right there saying, hey, we got to work on some things. There goes the run. This ball is pulled in the hole, and Gope again. It's short, strong throw on the money. This young man from South Africa can show you some defense. We've seen it all afternoon. Another good play at short in support of Jeremy Bleish. Out of your park with Scott's Weed Begone. Kills weeds, not lawn.
Some fancy footwork and some fancy glove work by Justin Smoke over there at first base. Showing good range, but especially on this poor throw from Jose Reyes, he's able to shuffle the feet over, get himself in position to corral this ball. This ball is heading towards the Blue Jays dugout. Big rangy left-hander is able to grab it and apply the tag.
New pitcher for the Blue Jays is the Canadian Andrew Albers, who's from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. He pitched in Korea a year ago, trying to make his way back to the big leagues.
Made 10 starts for the Twins back in 2013. Fastball just averaged about 86. Curveball, cutter, and changeup. As you said, pitched in Korea last year trying to make this comeback. And he'd be the first one to tell you he just did not pitch well.
Albers pitched against the Blue Jays a couple of years ago in Minnesota. Had a lot of fans down from Saskatchewan to watch that Blue Jay hook up.
He talked about the philosophy of the hitters in Korea, and it really gave him trouble because they're kind of guys that really just stay alive. And much like we hear or see from Kawasaki, they try to stay alive, foul pitches off, and that was not conducive to his pitching style. He pitches to contact, and he just couldn't get guys out. And in saying all that, the bottom line is he just feels that he did not pitch to his abilities.
Gift in Rope, the shortstop, has had an impressive afternoon. He is 0 for 2 at the plate, but he has made several fine defensive plays at shortstop. If you're just joining us, he's interesting for the fact that he comes from South Africa. Baseball is truly becoming a worldwide sport. Of course, we know the rich tradition of baseball in Latin America. Now it has gone to the Pacific Rim, with Japan, Korea, and China all being involved. There's a base hit for Ngope. Just the 4th hit of the afternoon for Pittsburgh. You take a look at the Canadians in camp with the Blue Jays. Russell Martin, of course, the big free agent signed. Born in East York, Ontario. Dalton Pompey from Mississauga. Michael Saunders. Good news with Saunders in that knee surgery. He is starting to swing the bat off of tee. I mentioned Albers from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. And Jeff Francis had a good outing the other day. He's trying to make his way back to the big leagues.
Jeff Francis had a couple of good outings. He's done nothing but get people out. It started back in the intra-squad game here early in camp. But, you know, Justin Smoke and Russell Martin will be heading north. Dalton Pompey doing everything he can to be included in that equation, starting in center field for the Blue Jays come April. But a couple of those left-handers, Albers and Jeff Francis, amongst the many in the mix to try to secure a bullpen job.
This is Alan Hansen, who has come into the ball game to play left field. He's batting in the #1 spot in the order. Last year at AA, he had 280 with 11 homers.
Just when the evaluations for John Gibbons and for pitching coach Pete Walker, you have to read between the lines like young kids getting into the ball games right now. So when you're evaluating pitchers like an Albers coming into a game right now, you don't just look at results. He could come in and throw a scoreless inning, but he might be facing AA hitters. So you have to really read between the lines. Pete Walker will be really looking at his mechanics and what the ball is doing, location and movement of his pitches.
One and two. Albers in his inning of work here has given up a single to lead off man. Love to get a ground ball here. Turn it over to the infield. We got an infield combination of Ryan Goins at short and Santiago at second. Chris Colabello has moved in to play first base after coming into the game as a pinch runner. Santiago at second. Very adept utility player. Ryan Goins played shortstop almost exclusively through the minor leagues until he made the transition at AAA, went to second base, and he can play second and short as well as anybody can. Mitch Nay, the rookie third baseman, is into the ballgame. He took over for Josh Donaldson. Well, that's a pretty good pitch. Albers wanted it. Good spot down and in, and that's the thing that Pete Walker will look at right there.
Those are exactly the things. That's why it's not about results. It's about the process right here. He knows that Albers has to be able to pitch inside. You may think of a left-hander that doesn't have the overpowering fastball. They still have to pitch effectively inside.
Good piece of hitting by Anthony. Waited back on that breaking ball. Here's the throw from Carrera to third, and Target Day tags him out. Ezekiel Carrera just came in the ball game defensively and shows off a strong arm as he threw a strike to third base. He throws out in Gope trying to move first to third on the single to right.
Well, it's a real good piece of hitting. Off-speed pitch that time by Albers. He shoots it into right field. But watch the base runner. He has made the decision himself as he's running to second base to go to third. As he approaches the second base bag, he puts his head up at the last second to pick up his third base coach. But that's a decision you make yourself. And Gope, the young, energetic ball player, trying to go first to third. And Carrera said, no, 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 not under my watch. He threw a strike to third base.
Sebastian Valle hitting here in the 2 spot. Francisco Cervelli started the game. Valle back behind the plate. This is his first at bat. Numbers between AAA and AA in 75 games a year ago. For Pittsburgh's minor league, there's a little flare in the right. That's going to drop. Now they're going to stop Hansen at second as they've seen the arm of Carrera already. So Valle has a base hit.
It's important for base runners trying to go first to third. When that ball's behind them in right field, you have to pick up your third base coach. But when the ball's hit firmly into right field, you can tell as you break from first if I got a shot or not. You don't need help from your third base coach. Make that decision on your own.
This is Mel Rojas Jr. batting. Gregory Polanco started in right field. He finished up 1 for 3. 1-0 Pittsburgh. We're in the 8th inning. There have only been 7 hits in the game. The Blue Jays have just 1 hit all afternoon. There goes the runner to third. Strong throw, not in time. Jimenez made a good throw to third, but Hansen, the base runner, got a great jump at second.
As a catcher, you can only do so much. See the good jump that the base runner is almost able to get a little stutter step, a little running lead, and when they do that, they're stealing the ball, stealing the base on the pitcher. Jimenez did everything right, came up and fired a strike down to third base, but no chance.
The runner at first, Valle. The count is 0-1. The first pitch was a strike. The hitter wanted to make sure. Mel Rojas checking with the home plate umpire. Fouls that ball back.
The runner on first base, you always have to keep your eye at your lead runner on second, and if you see him break, you can take off and go back door and go into second base. That time, not really noticing his lead runner taken off. So the Pirates are left with runners on first and third, and the double play still in order for Albers.
Bounced foul just wide of third. Blue Jays, middle of the infield, are playing it halfway. The infielders, Goins at short, Santiago at second, and both come in. That's not straight double play depth. That's halfway. They get a slow roller. They're going to come to the plate to cut off the run.
Something firmly hit at either one of them. They'll turn 2 to end the inning, but if they've got to come get it, they'll try to cut that run down at home.
High pitch foul back to the screen.
That's playing the situation of the ball game here too. In the top of the 8th, the Blue Jays already down 1. They really don't want to give up another run to be down 2. So it's going to be a read play for the middle infielders, both Ryan Goins and Santiago over at second base. Same thing will go for Mitch Ney at third base. If he gets something hit firmly right at him, he'll go around the horn to try to turn the double play and end the inning.
Infielders have to read the ball off the bat to make a quick decision. 1 out. Inside. Now it's 2-2. Do it again.
Albers trying to come inside again. He's made a couple of good pitches in there, just not getting the call from the home plate umpire, DJ Rayburn. Must be just off that inside corner.
Off-speed pitch, cued off the end of the bat. Albers, we mentioned he is from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. He played baseball at the University of Kentucky. He had a good collegiate career. He ended up with 20 career wins, fourth most wins in school history at the time. Good changeup, popped over near the seats. Colabello overreaches in, but it's out of his reach. Couple rows back. Boy, that's what you're looking for as an infielder, chance to get the second out on a weak pop-up, but it was just out of play. Couple rows back.
This is a situation where a pitcher needs a strikeout or a pop-up, and it looked like he got the pop-up. Colabello going all the way to the rail. He did everything right. You can see this fan going for the ball, but there's no fan interference. You see the umpire indicate no interference there because this ball was into the seats, but that man lets it go. You never know if Colabello can make the reach and grab.
Broken bat. That's going to be caught by Rowan. Good pitch by Albers as he gets in on the hands of Mel Rojas Jr. for the second out.
We talked already this inning about him getting in with the fastballs and missing. This time he got that fastball in and he sawed him off, shattering the bat. Who says you need to throw 95, 96 miles per hour? This is just good pitching right here by Albers. Changing speeds, getting in on the hands right there of Rojas with his fastball.
Well, the Blue Jays want to see something here, so they're going to bring a new pitcher in with runners at the corners and 2 outs. Albers is out. 2 down. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Bo Schultz is into the ballgame. He's 29 years old. He signed originally with the Oakland Athletics out of Northwestern University in 2008. Those are his numbers from a year ago. He was picked up from the Arizona Diamondbacks by the Blue Jays on the waiver wire October 7th of 2014.
Big power arm. Schultz will be around 95 miles per hour with that fastball, slider, and changeup. Pitched an inning Wednesday at Bradenton against these Pirates. Struggled a little bit with a couple of walks, but he was able to get out of it in a scoreless inning.
Well, obviously, this is a golden opportunity for the pitching coach and the manager to learn a little bit more about Bo Schultz. Here you are in a one-run game. Yeah, it's spring training, but you like to recreate these situations that Bo Schultz might be faced with should he make this ball club.
And these are opportunities that you don't want to let get away if you're Bo Schultz. You want to come in here and get out of this inning and show your coaches. These first impressions are huge when you're coming to a new team.
Willie Garcia, a double-A hitter a year ago, is batting with 2 outs. Schultz throws that first pitch inside off the plate. And this is what we were talking about earlier. When you come out of that bullpen, even though you throw hard, that last pitch was 96. Boy, you got to be aggressive and throw that pitch in the strike zone. And he does. He jams Garcia, a little dribbler towards second, and Bo Schultz does the job. They bring him in with runners at the corners and 2 outs, and he gets the job done. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Jays are down by a run.
begin the season on the road, but return April 13th. It is Blue Jays home opener by Honda. The game is sold out for the first one, but between April 13th and 16th, the Jays and the Rays. It is the opening series. For tickets, call 341-1234 or bluejays.com.
Not that far away. Opening day at Rogers Center, April 13th. So make sure you make arrangements. Come out for that first series. Deolis Guerra pitched in 36 games in AAA a year ago. Another big right-hander. You can see right-handers hit just .241 against him last year.
Well, he's a big man, and Pirates love these big, hard throwers. 6'5", 245-pound native of Venezuela. He was in AAA last season with the Twins.
Thank you so much.
Mitch Ney, then third baseman for the Blue Jays. It's his first at bat. He took over defensively for Josh Donaldson. Takes that fastball on the outside corner. Ney is just 21 years old. He's from Tarzana, California. He was a first-round pick in 2012, a supplemental pick, number 58 overall in that 2012 draft. Hits this off the end of the bat down the right side. It is slicing into the seats, well out of play. Ney is in his fourth professional season. He did not play at all in 2012. He was injured. Opened up his career hitting .300 in Bluefield in the Appalachian League in 2013. And don't worry about the power. He's a big guy. He's only hit 9 home runs in a minor league career, but he's one of those guys where you can see that bat's going to play as he gains more experience.
Well, he's a good hitter, and he has power, good range at third base. Especially out of high school, you've got to let these kids mature. He is a big presence at the plate and takes a hop.
Ney finished up his season last year. He played 11 games right here in Dunedin in the Florida State League. Struggled a bit, just 7 for 37, but certainly limited bats. He had 135 hits in AAA in A-ball at Lansing last year.
In the head.
He tried to swing, check his swing, and went around for the strikeout. That's one down. Here in the 8th.
Center fielder number 75, Anthony Alford.
Tough assignment there coming into the game defensively earlier. It's like the changeup darting very hard down in the zone. That's a pitch that looks like a fastball coming in, and they saw a couple fastballs earlier in the at-bat. Start chasing it looking like the heater, but then it just dives right down in the ground. You're not able to hold up your swing.
Anthony Alford took over defensively in center field. He gets his first at bat of the afternoon. Alford, a very athletic outfielder. Former football player. Started out his football career at Southern Mississippi as a quarterback. Transferred to Ole Miss, played a little bit of safety there, and then decided in September that he'd give up football and concentrate on baseball full time.
Saw some of that athleticism yesterday in Clearwater against the Phillies. He came in to pinch run. Stole a base. First pitch coming in for Russell Martin.
He's never been caught stealing in his minor league career. He's 13 for 13 and just limited at bats. Obviously, he was still in school playing football, so he played during the summer months and then go back to football for fall practice. He too chases that off-speed pitch, back-to-back strikeouts for Guerra here in the 8th.
Here's some voices down from that Blue Jays bench. They're saying, no, not that one. In other words, Mitch Ney went, but they didn't think that Alford went right there. Again, trying to hold up, and you know, it's the old, what exactly is that first base umpire looking for? He's looking for that barrel to just travel towards the front of the plate. Alford unable to hold up, according to first base umpire Mark Carlson.
This is Ezekiel Carrera, who made that strong throw to third base to throw out Gift and Gope, trying to advance first to third. Boy, that's a wicked pitch. It's got a lot of split finger action on it.
Good pitch, and this is the thing again, Carrera coming off the bench, and you're facing a pitcher like this, and in defense of these hitters, I think that's part of the reason why pitching is ahead of hitting at this point in spring training. A lot of these hitters not facing pitchers very often. They're seeing these guys for the first time, not knowing exactly what they throw and what their balls are doing.
This ball is popped up. Second baseman is calling for it. Makes the catch. Carrera's retired. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the ninth. It's a 1-0 ball game.
Stay tuned to Sportsnet for Davis Cup action from Vancouver. Two of the brightest stars in men's tennis renew their rivalry as Canada hosts Japan. It is world number 6 Milos Raonic against number 4 Kei Nishikori. With the win, Raonic will send Canada to the quarterfinals. It's on Sportsnet East, Ontario Pacific, and 1 coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific.
Bo Schultz came on to close out the 8th inning. Got a ground out with runners on the corners, 1st and 3rd. Did a nice job. He gets the 9th inning here.
Well, he did a nice job, and we talked about first impressions. When you're coming to a new team, you want to have success early on. He had a little trouble the other day pitching against these Pirates, a couple of walks, but he came in and got the job done in the 8th.
This is Kelson Brown hitting for the Pirates. Early on in the spring, we see a lot of minor leaguers get an opportunity late in the ball game. This is popped in the air in shallow right field. Carrera coming in quickly makes the play. Bo Schultz had an interesting season a year ago. He pitched in a major league game March 23rd in Japan, pitching against the Dodgers. Remember, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks opened up the season in Japan, and he pitched in game 2 of that series, and then he was sent back to the minors and didn't get called back up to the big leagues until July 29th. Spent most of the season in AAA at Reno in the Diamondbacks AAA team. Made 23 starts, went 10-8 for the season. This is Gorkis Hernandez. He was coming to the game late. There's a good nasty slider. A lot of late finish to it.
And that's what you want from a late inning reliever. The Blue Jays are looking at Bo Schultz as a power arm, but when you have a secondary pitch like that, the slider to couple that with that good fastball, that's a good deadly 1-2 punch.
Good pitch. Now the Blue Jays are anxious to gather as many quality arms as they can, and you know, a bullpen is very fluid. You know, you don't know what you're going to get from year to year out of a bullpen, and Blue Jays saw that firsthand last year. He went around, strikeout for Schultz. 2 quick outs here in the 9th.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. Pete Walker's eyes will be on Schultz right here. He may not be facing necessarily all big league hitters, but look at the stuff. Good power fastball. He saw a very good slider that at bat. and then you punch him out with an elevated high fastball. Good pitch sequencing right there. Nice calling from the youngster, too. A.J. Jimenez behind the dish.
Keon Broxton is the batter for Pittsburgh. He's batting in the 7th spot in the order. He goes after the first pitch, and it's a routine fly to right. Cabrera is there. A couple of fly balls out to right, and a strikeout. Bo Schultz, 4 up, 4 down. Couldn't ask for a better day on this Sunday afternoon here in Dunedin, Florida. The Blue Jays have yet to get on the scoreboard. It's a 1-0 Pirate lead. A lot of good things happening for both ball clubs. The Pirates, of course, getting great pitching. The Blue Jays have managed just 1 hit. That base hit, Josh Donaldson got a single to left field back in the 4th, and that's been it. So they're looking for some life here in the 9th inning, and they'll do it against a new pitcher, Josh Wall, into the ball game.
Josh Wall struggled through an inning here the other day, pitched in 36 games last season in AAA. He's had a few call-ups, 2012, 13, and 14. The Dodgers, Angels last year. Big 6'6" right-hander, second-round pick of L.A. back in 2005.
He is the 7th Pirate pitcher to work here this afternoon. Blue Jays want to get something going here, and the first batter will be the youngster Dwight Smith Jr., just 22 years old. He's from Peachtree, Georgia. He was a first-round pick in 2011. Of course, his father, Dwight Smith, played in the majors from 89 to 96. He won a World Series with the Atlanta Braves in 95. Goes after the first pitch and pops it out of play. For Smith, this is his 4th professional season. He signed, as we mentioned, in 2012. Split time between Bluefield and Vancouver. Those of you out in Vancouver remember that Smith played in 18 games for the Vancouver Ball Club. He's got some speed, 41 steals in his minor league career, caught just 10 times. They need him on.
He'll be doing the best he can to get on base. A little surprised to see him coming out hacking at that first pitch, down 1-0 in the bottom of the 9th.
There's a line drive that's going to get down for a base hit. Smith makes a big turn. He is stopped as the outfielder and right gets the ball back in quickly. So Dwight Smith is aboard. He represents the tying run here in the 9th.
Shortstop, number 17, Ryan Goins.
And that might be why he was hacking at the first pitch. He's saying, I'm going to get this done with my bat. Nice swing right there by Smith getting on board. Now we'll see. Ryan Goins had some serious difficulties the other day trying to get a sacrifice bunt down. We'll see if John Gibbons calls upon him to do it again.
Yeah, and he was asked to bunt with 2 strikes. to show you how important it is to the manager. That came in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays lost that game 8-7. There goes the runner. The hit and run is on, and Goins fouls it back. Boy, Smith got a great jump.
Well, I like the call from John Gibbons. You're trying to spice it up a little bit. The opposition probably looking for the sacrifice bunt there from Goins, but Smith on first base with speed, put him in motion. Ryan Goins is in swing mode. It's a ground ball anywhere in the infield. You've got those middle infielders covering on the steal, and you're trying to end up with a first and third situation.
Good pitch on the outside corner. It's now 0-2. Goins really has to battle here. Blue Jays trying to tie it up here in the 9th. Pirates scored their only run in the 5th. They got back-to-back doubles off the bat of Jose Tabata and Brett Morel. The only run of the ball game. Looks like Smith wants to run a little bit over at first, even on an 0-2 count.
And it's a good idea with 2 strikes on the batter. You're anticipating an off-speed pitch of some sort, potentially in the dirt. It's a good pitch to run on. However, it's also a good pitch to pitch out if Clint Hurdle is thinking along the same lines over there in that third base dugout.
Smith played right here at Dunedin last season. He played in 121 games, had a good year offensively. Hit .284. Had 134 hits in 121 games.
Pitcher Josh Wall doing a nice job holding, changing up his times there before that throw over to first base, freezing the runner Smith at first.
In the dirt. Nice play by Valle, the pitcher.
There's not too many things that go unnoticed in that third base dugout with Clint Hurdle in charge, and one of them is controlling the running game. And you can see Josh Wall right there. He knows Dwight Smith's thinking of trying to steal right here, but he's changing up his holds. Pitchers come. They don't want him to get timed by the base runner. Just come and hold for 1,000 count and then deliver the ball home. Changes it up, holds it a little longer, and you can see Smith over there. It's very difficult for a base stealer to get a good jump when that pitcher holds the ball on you.
Another throw over there, and Smith dives back in safely.
You'll see catchers looking into their dugout at their manager or bench coach, and they'll be giving them signs, and that's not calling pitches. What they're doing there is controlling the running game. So they're instructing them to either throw over or to hold, step off, or to hold for a long time, slide step.
Bouncing ball, this could be 2. Shovel to second for run, back to first in time. So that leadoff base hit is erased on the 4-6-3 double play. We saw the catcher call for that sinking fastball, and they got the ground ball they were looking for.
And it's one thing to call the sinker, but for the pitcher to execute his pitch in a big situation right there. A nice pitch by Wall, that two-seam fastball going down in the zone. A hitter hits the top of the baseball. It was almost hit too softly to second base to turn the double play. Dwight Smith doing what he could to break it up, but it is completed. Blue Jays are down to their last out.
Ramon Santiago, the second baseman, walked in his only at bat. That came back in the 7th.
Now, Ramon Santiago takes a strike right there, and Buck, that was totally intentional. He was just going up there. He is going to work this pitcher, try to get on base any way he can. He gets to first base. He's in scoring position for Colabello.
And Colabello has home run power. Santiago understands his assignment.
And that's that veteran presence you're talking about when you bring in a Ramon Santiago. This guy has been through it. He's been to the playoffs with the Tigers. He's got a lot of experience. He understands the game.
Liner to left. That's going to get down, and that will bring Colabello to the plate. Santiago aboard representing the tying run, and Colabello, who's got a home run power, will get a shot with 2 outs.
It's just outstanding hitting right there by Santiago. We've been seeing Wall throw that two-seam fastball down and away to the left-handers. He did it to Goins. Santiago comes up, not trying to do too much with this pitch. He let that ball travel. lining that ball in the left field, and that's how you have to hit that pitch. Let it get deep in your stance. You can't be going out there and catching it out front and rolling it over. Good piece of veteran hitting there by Ramon.
Chris Colabello trying to earn a spot on this Blue Jays roster. He has spent time in the big leagues the last 2 seasons with the Minnesota Twins. Oh, he got a hanging breaking ball.
That was the breaking ball. It was a slider from Wall, but it's not the where he wanted to put it. That's the one that Chris Colabello could have tried to win the ball game with. The worst thing about that hanging slider is when they're hit very hard, but sometimes they can actually fool a hitter because it's such a bad pitch. It actually worked out for Wall. He got lucky. He got away with that one.
Colabello got off to a great start a year ago with Minnesota. Had a terrific month of April. He was actually named co-player of the week for the first week of the season last year. He hit .391 for the week with 4 doubles, a home run, and 11 RBIs in a week.
And he did some damage to the Blue Jays when we were there in Minnesota.
To another breaking ball.
Well, as I said, a hanging slider is the last thing a pitcher wants to do, but these pitches by Wall are so bad that they're actually being effective because as a hitter you give up on them. You think they're up in the zone and they're just going to be spinners called the cement mixers. They just spin. But if Colabello is looking for those pitches right there, he's probably hammering one of them.
Strikes out, another breaking pitch, and the Blue Jays leave the tying run on base in the 9th. Pittsburgh wins it 1-0. Pitchers certainly had the upper hand this afternoon, Joe.
Well, that is the case, and we see it a lot in early and spring camps, but the Blue Jays hitters just dominated by Pittsburgh pitching today. Good pitching on the Blue Jays side as well, and I think the brightest spot is that start by Aaron Sanchez.
Aaron Sanchez went 3 innings. He didn't allow a hit. He walked a batter and struck out 3, and he was rock solid in his effort today. He was followed by Todd Redmond, who had a good inning of work. Jenkins, he threw an inning, gave up a hit, had a strikeout. Colt Hines was good in his 1 inning of work, and overall a good day defensively. The star defensively might have been the first baseman, Justin Smoak.
Justin Smoak doing that all over at first base today, and you talked about it throughout the broadcast. Talk about how defense is so important, but those infielders can really be. Justin Smoak over there with that fancy footwork in the glove, he can save it, and he saved a couple of errors today.
Well, right now we are fortunate to have Barry Davis with us, and he's got a guest down on the field. Barry?
Thanks a lot, Buck. We are joined by the new hitting coach of the Toronto Blue Jays, Brooke Jacoby. Brooke, this is the 4th hitting coach for the Blue Jays in the last 4 years. You've got a lot of veterans. You've got a lot of young hitters. What's your impressions of what you've seen from this team so far?
I like the young kids we have. Today wasn't a real good day, but there's some talented players here. The veterans, of course, are the veterans. They're solid. So
they always say pitching comes before hitting. Is this a product of what we're seeing right now, that the pitching is just ahead of the hitting at this point?
Well, I think most of the guys are trying to find their timing. Early in camp, that's what we're looking to do. Start swinging at better pitches the second, third of the camp, and then on our way.
You've seen a lot of these guys maybe from a distance, but who here that maybe you didn't know as much about, now that you've had a chance to work with, you're really impressed with?
Well, I think all the veteran guys go about their business the right way. A young kid, Pilar, kind of impressed with him and what he's done. The rest of the veteran guys are all professionals, and they know what they're doing.
Pilar is one guy. Josh Donaldson, another, that has taken things from Jose Bautista, a little bit about his stance, the way he approaches at bats. Is that something that you can notice and you like to see, especially coming from a guy like Bautista?
Well, if Bautista's good at it, he can sure share some information with Donaldson. I think Pilar's doing a leg kick too, and he's talked to Bautista about it also. So those guys share information. We like that.
Listen, thanks for your time, and enjoy the gig this year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there's Brooke Jacoby, the new hitting coach of the Toronto Blue Jays. Didn't get much today in the way of hits, but the Blue Jays have looked pretty good so far. They fall to 3-3 on the year. Let's send it back now to Buck.
Thank you, Barry. And Blue Jays lose a tough one here this afternoon, 1-0, and they fall to 3-3 for the spring. But spring record, not that big a deal. It's all about seeing the young players. Devin Travis signing some autographs for a great crowd on hand here in Dunedin. We'll be back with more right after this.